In his words, every country from the United States to China must participate, and every industry from oil and gas to tech must be transformed.
Of how we can really create, I would say, a new world order.
Are you ready for a new world order?
We need a single global order.
Let's begin to this video with this passage from the Bible. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause, and that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark of the beast, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. First of all, listen to what Joe Rogan is reading here, the passage from Revelation confirming the reality of the mark of the beast. Now, they're going to make their own application. We're going to correct that somewhat, but we're going to see the connection that there is in these final times.
One day in the future, everything will be traceable.
That's right. And that's, this is where being raised an Episcopalian, in the book of Revelation, as a Christian, you're going to read it. This is where I get scared because it's too similar to the mark of the beast. I mean, that's that. Like, if you remove the ability to trade currency in a private way, you are now controlled. You are now monitored. That's
Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from the heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. It also causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
All right, it's a very interesting remark. While I cannot agree that the mark of the beast is CDBC, but CDBC does play a significant role in the enforcement of the mark of the beast, as we just read from the Bible, and we also heard from Joe Rogan. And let me go over to the website here. We are at World Economic Forum, and they're talking about the CDBC idea. And this is what they say. What are central bank digital currencies, and what could they mean for the average person? And they're going to tell you what digital currency is. According to them, central bank digital currency, CDBCs, are a kind of digital money issued by a central bank and are not cryptocurrency and will not replace cash. That's what they say. CDBCs offer potential benefits for financial inclusion, but there are concerns that need to be considered, as the World Economic Forum Digital Currency Governance and Serfdom White Paper Series points out. Governments and central banks need to be transparent and honest about the potential advantages and risk of digital currencies in order to build trust in CDBC.
Economic system and really essentially everything. It's going to be a problem, reaction, solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, equally disruptive.
In today's video, we're going to listen to Whitney Webb, an independent journalist who is addressing the idea of CDBC and the connection this has in the last days. She's not really making a biblical application, but we're going to make the prophetic application as we often do. Some solid information is coming your way here. Pay attention. We're going to take a listen to that as well. Now, first of all, let's go over to Davos, and they're going to tell us a little bit about what CDBC is all about. Hear it from them and the goals that they have in mind in implementing these principles for all mankind.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well.
All right, you heard that. In the next video, what you're about to hear is another representative at the World Economic Forum talking about the level of influence and power and control that they will have by having CDBC in the hands of the government. Take a listen.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
Now, I understand the nature of what's being said here, okay? CDBC gives them the ability to control what is being purchased and how it is being used. And he uses, the P word and so other ones. And I can certainly understand that. But the danger with this, it tends to go too far. What if another group of people do not agree with your current position? Can you also censor them and cause them not to be able to buy and sell if they do not go along with the official narrative that everybody else have subscribed to? That's what we have to be careful about. Now, we're going to listen to Whitney Webb now to hear what she has to say in this video. She has a lot to speak about when we come to this matter. Listen, Whitney Webb goes on to explain the details of what's happening here. I'm going to highlight some major points in this video. I'm going to let it run till the end, and I want to hear your thoughts based on what you heard. Take a listen to this.
In this context, I think the digital ID is a key enabler of the surveillance, knowing what everyone is doing at the transactional level and being able to tweak that micromanagement based on a person's activity, because the digital ID isn't just limited to the financial system, right? It's like your travel, your health history, your career history, your education credentials, your access to telecommunications, social media, the internet. With the new AI era, right, they can fuse all that data, analyze it, and depending on how they develop that AI algorithm, use it to control people really in unprecedented ways. I think the digital ID and the CBDC and its private sector equivalence project is something that we're always sort of intended to be the same system. So there's documents from the UN, from the BIS, and related groups that are sort of that have been working on this for years, that essentially frame one as essential to the other, using words about, this is inclusionary, the whole, marketing behind digital ID is that everyone needs a legal ID because otherwise they're unable to access essential services, right? And so the idea is we all have to be included in the system, and they directly link that to the concept of financial inclusion and banking the unbanked, which you brought up earlier. But inherently, these systems actually function in an exclusionary way, based on how they've been set up. They have essentially said that this will be the only way to prove you have legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system, as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. So by not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything. So you have to onboard to the surveillance state or be excluded from everything. So it's, being marketed as inclusion, but it's really inherently exclusionary.
How does this system get triggered? How do we move into the Mark Carney-ism?
Well, I think they sort of give it away when they say that this is the new Bretton Woods movement that needs to be seized. So Bretton Woods was what came out of World War II, essentially, and was the creation of a new financial governance system after World War II. And this is essentially an effort to create a new financial governance system that was announced well before any sort of crisis like that, but it's probably going to need a crisis of that level to be implemented and to convince people to onboard at scale. And if you subscribe to the theory that all wars are bankers' wars, which there is plenty of evidence to support that, I would say, that seems to suggest that perhaps, this is the it's going to be a problem reaction solution type of situation where they've already made the solution, they've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
Mm-hmm. The solution has been created. And now all the global elites need is a nice little crisis to tie it all off. Only this won't be a nice crisis. It will be the complete collapse of the entire global financial system. A large percentage of the global population, honest everyday workers, fathers, mothers, and people with aging parents and relatives will be completely devastated, while the 1% of the 1% gain everything. Whitney believes the crisis will be on the same scale as, if not worse, than the economic devastation of the Second World War. After the crisis ends, central and commercial banks will conveniently and proudly present digital currencies, urging people to get on the system to make up for everything they lost during the collapse. However, they will only get a fraction of what was lost. Plus, they will be signing away all their privacy and other rights to the global elites. Imagine a world where you can't buy more meat because all your transactions are strictly monitored, and it's been decided that you've eaten more than your allotted portion of meat during the given period. You go to your local grocery store, pick up the goods, and as the attendant or automated system tries to ring up your order, they get a notification saying you cannot purchase more meat or else the planet dies. This is the future Whitney and Mark are warning us about. What's worse, it does not stop there. Larry Fink and others want to tokenize everything, including the natural world. Here are more clips from the video.
Well, it seems like in Larry Fink's case in particular, there's a goal, a big ambition there to develop new asset classes that can be used to basically fuel their existing business model and perpetuate it for millennia forward. Mm-hmm. So one of these that I've been writing about for a few years is the whole idea of natural assets, what they call nature's economy. And one of the groups that has been sort of propelling this forward, at least one of the earlier groups, the Intrinsic Exchange Group, which is a product of the Rockefeller Foundation and the multilateral development banking system, has a graphic on their website called The Opportunity, and they show there the existing amount of assets in the world economy, and then show what it, if we unlock natural assets, how nature's economy, it's like 6 times the amount of existing assets in the economy today. And so as an asset manager, BlackRock being able to unlock and take control of as many natural assets as possible that aren't currently part of the financial system is obviously a way for them to perpetuate what they do and deepen and expand their control over not just people in the existing financial system, but really over the natural world as well, and essentially turn everything alive into a tradable Wall Street financial product. And the goal, as Fink has stated, is to have all of this on a universal ledger, on blockchain presumably, and have it be trackable and surveillable, which is interesting if you look at it through the context of risk management, which is something that Larry Fink is very open as having been one of the guiding lights of his whole career. And so by having it all surveillable and and, automated in a sense. He's able to have his risk management AI thing, Aladdin, sort of exercise control over it in unprecedented ways, I think, for their benefit. And then, of course, a lot of what's happening now as we're moving into this new financial governance system is the push to change all of the infrastructure towards this, quote unquote green a green model, I guess, or decarbonization, right? Which is, of course, interface with the global carbon market, but not necessarily so, like it doesn't have to be. But the push is obviously to create a bunch of new infrastructure all over the world, and BlackRock is positioning themselves to be one of the key players in that space. They acquired, I think they're called GIP, one of the biggest infrastructure, developers in the world. And I think one of their top guys at Davos just a few months ago was talking about how they're betting really big on infrastructure going forward, and it's going to be one of the biggest investment opportunities of the next several decades, actually. So I think they're quite ambitious, and if people aren't aware of this, I'm sure they'll get away with it, but we'll see. One of the things too about the natural asset thing, at least as far as the natural asset corporation model is concerned, is that you literally just go into a forest or you go to a river or lake and you identify the natural asset, and then at no cost to you, just after identifying it, you issue shares in the natural asset, a lake, a forest, whatever, and then you sell those shares to the sovereign wealth funds, asset managers, whatever, and then you have an IPO and generate all this money. I mean, it's literally just pointing out something outside and being like, this is mine, I'm going to fractionalize it and sell it to people, and you're producing money in like, out of thin air, right, essentially. Yeah. And you're able to do that. I mean, the natural world is vast and huge, and they're doing this, they're financializing it all as framing it as the only way to save the planet. Right. But really it's the only way for them to save their insane debt racket.
In their joint February article titled Tokenized, BlackRock's plan to own the fractionalized world, Whitney and Mark give a stern warning about BlackRock and Larry Fink's plans. You will allow BlackRock to build the panopticon of tokenized Earth with Americans' retirement money under the dialectic pretext of owning the liberals, unknowingly connecting all aspects of ownership to centralized databases, walled identity gardens, and fractionalized reserve assets transmitted and issued on the private blockchains of Wall Street banks. The warring factions within the Davos squabble over the spoils but never against the plan. Fulfilling Agenda 2030 requires complicit cooperation as much as compromised corporations. Do not confuse free market capitalism with cronyism or cartelism, which is the capitalist model embodied by Fink and his fellow Wall Street ilk. The problem is not just what they are planning, it's the half-truths they continuously tell the world until it is too late to stop the disaster, and how they demonize anyone trying to warn people about their plans. They've eaten so deep into our systems and every aspect of society that it would take nothing short of divine intervention to stop their plans.
As you just heard, what is needed the most to bring about such a drastic change financially to reset the global economy? There needs to be a crisis, a strong enough crisis to bring it to pass. And I have to say, friends, somebody's already working on that.
Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it.
The biggest fear that the World Economic Forum has is that there are going to be people that will not comply. Their biggest fear is your fight for freedom. Their biggest fear is that you will make individual decisions for yourself and you will not follow their orders. So this digital stuff is absolutely key, because without it, they can't enforce anything. Without it, they can't mandate that you do something. Without it, they can't control your life. So I don't care if you're talking about carbon emissions and what's safe and effective as far as they are concerned. This is not about those individual things. This is about the desire to control you from the outside in. And if they have a digital process whereby they can restrict your movement, your behavior, and your decisions with the click of a button, you are done.
And again, we've been highlighting a number of things in this channel, highlighting a number of crises that are happening in the world. And friends, we are headed toward a massive crisis that's going to bring about serious and drastic change. And those whose hearts have not been surrendered to Christ will give up the faith. In times like these, we need a savior. In times like these, we need the Lord. We are told in the Bible in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 21, to have respect of persons is not good. And for a piece of bread that men will transgress. Some people will transgress. Some will go as far to transgress the law of God for a piece of bread. For the ability of buying and selling.
I want to make it really clear. I'm not saying this is the mark of the beast, but what I'm about to say is at least a candidate. I believe the technology that the beast will use.
Because it's what they are telling you is necessary in order for you to buy and sell.
The Bible says that those who receive the mark of the beast in their foreheads, conviction, they believe it. Some will receive it on their hands, not because so much they believe, but for worldly privileges, for whatever your hands finds to do. The Bible says, do it with your heart. The hands is a symbol of work, not so much a symbol of faith. And we are told as a result of that, some, because of a piece of bread, for the privilege of buying and selling, will transgress the law of God and go along with the mark of the beast. In Genesis, we find another sad story, Genesis 45, and this is talking about the brothers of Joseph. When the food ran out from their homeland, they went to Egypt, where Joseph was a pharaoh. They had no idea. Listen to what they said. They brought their cattle unto Joseph and give them bread in exchange for horses and for flocks and for the cattle of the herds and for the asses, and that he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. And that year was ended. They came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds and cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our land. They give up everything they had. What was left? Their bodies and their land, and they were willing to do this. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our lands for bread. And you hearing the concept again. Buy us and our land for bread, that we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. Oh, friends, we are told in the Bible, in Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, it is written that men shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. You see, those of us who have faith in Jesus should not have to worry about the coming crisis, although there will be trials and trouble for every single one of us. But we are told in the Bible, he shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him, and his waters shall be sure. God will take care of his people. God will take care of those of us who trust in him. Selected Messages, page 2, 141. We are told again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people ought to take their families away from the cities into the country where they can raise their own provisions. For in the future, the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one. We should now begin to heed the instruction given us over and over again. Get out of the cities into rural districts where the houses are not crowded closely together, where you will be freed from interference of the enemies. Friends, we should think about this, pray about this, and as God opens the way for you and I, we should make our moves. In GC 629 paragraph 2, we are told the people of God will not be freed from suffering. While persecution and distress, while they endure privation and suffer for want of food, they will not be left to perish. That God who cared for Elijah will not pass by one of his self-sacrificing children. He who numbered the hairs of the heads will care for them, and in time of famines they shall be satisfied. While the wicked are dying from hunger and pestilence, angels will sheed the righteous and supply their wants. To him that walketh righteously is the promise, bread shall be given him, and his waters shall be sure. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them.
You know, it's going to be a problem, reaction, solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, you know, equally disruptive.
Friends, get ready, get ready, get ready. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like and subscribe. Click the bell icon for more. I'm gonna post a video to my right here, and you go and check out this video as well. We have an entire playlist we're working on right now called New World Disorder, so that you can see what God is doing and that we may be ready for the coming crisis and the second coming of Jesus Christ. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.